knitting friends, and welcome to Ina Knits. My name is Ina and this is my little corner of YouTube where I share my passion for yarn and knitting. And today is Friday, 14th of April 2023. We just came back from Easter vacation a few days back. We had a great time. We did a lot of skiing. We had bright sunny weather almost every day, so we were just out in the fresh air, doing lots of fun family things every day. And if you don't know, here in Norway, Easter is just as big as Christmas holiday. At least for my family and a lot of people that I know cherish the Easter holidays, possibly even more than Christmas. It's a big thing, and it's all about, I don't know, the atmosphere, the food we eat. It's about the activities we do. A lot of family activities, skiing, sun, being out. And during this time of the year, it is, just the break between the last of the winter and the beginning of spring, summertime. So the days are long. We have sun until like 8 in the evening, and yeah, it's just magical being out in the nature. And yeah, so we have like 4 bank holidays during Easter here in Norway. Sunday is one of them, so we have like Thursday, Friday, Sunday and Monday. It's just everything is closed down, and it's make this long weekend, or expanding from one week to the next. And in addition to that, we have half a working day on the Wednesday prior to the Thursday. So it's quite common here to take Monday, Tuesday and the second half of the Wednesday off, so that you get a full week of vacation. So yeah, that's what we did, and it was great. Very, very nice. I brought a lot of knitting with me, and I didn't get as much knitting time that I intended to, just because there was so much going on with, the kids, activities, outdoor skiing, and I was just exhausted when the evening came around. So I didn't knit that much, and what I knitted on was more or less kind of the easier knits that I brought, like socks. So I have done quite a bit of progress on my sock knitting. My more complicated knitting didn't get as much progress, but I will show you what I got. In addition to that, I decided to host a giveaway during this episode, because I'm so thankful for you who are supporting my channel by subscribing and by commenting and engaging. And even some of you are giving me a virtual coffee cup over at ko-fi.com/inaknits. And I'm just super grateful that you are sticking with me and that you support what I do and the channel. And therefore I really wanted to give something back to one of you, and I will talk more about that towards the end of the episode. So I hope you all are doing well, and that you are knitting away on something that brings you joy. I think that's the most important thing when you are having a hobby that like gives you something back. Of course, sometimes you need to knit a little faster to meet a deadline, or you knit for another person, and it's not always the project you really want to work on, but for the most parts it's so important to make sure that the project you are working on brings you lots of joy. And I think I will kick off this episode by showing you my current obsession. And I think it's important to mention that I have quite a variety of interest when it comes to things that I want to knit. So I really enjoy making garments like sweaters, but at the same time it's more of a long time project, so I really need to have a smaller project on the needles as well, and that tends to be socks. I don't know what it is about it. I have tried to like refocus my kind of hang up on socks onto mittens or to hats, because I could really use more hats in my wardrobe, and the people around me also could benefit from me needing more hats or mittens, or even cowls or scarves. Those are smaller projects that's really easy to have with you on the go, or just pick up and do some stitches whenever you have some spare time. But for some reason I almost always cast on those socks instead. It's ridiculous. I have knitted so many socks over the years, and I keep coming back to that. So this is my current obsession again, I guess, and I think maybe I need to blame a fellow podcaster, Sarah from Love Sock Wool. Unfortunately, she doesn't post video podcasts on YouTube very often, but the ones that she posts are just so inspiring to me. I can't help it. So I have been re-watching her podcast episode over and over and over again. She has so many wonderful socks on the needles. And she is not limiting herself to one sock or one pair of socks. She has just an insane number of socks on the go at the same time. And I find that so inspiring. So she has kind of enabled me, or I guess I've enabled myself, but I haven't limited myself to just have one pair of socks on the needles at a time. I have casted on multiple socks, as you do. I will show you the first pair. I did have the first sock going last time I podcasted, and this is a hand-dyed yarn. It's from Kvitlamme. I did during January, February and March have a monthly subscription of her hand-dyed yarn, and this was the January yarn. Kvitlamme, she's a Norwegian hand dyer. And yeah, so I completed knitting the first sock during Easter holiday. And I did also cast on for the second sock. And I have a little strawberry cheesecake progress keeper. These are really nice for like tracking the progress, obviously, because they're progress keepers. But when you're knitting with yarn that's super variegated like this, or even kind of variegated speckled, but it doesn't have a specific pattern, it's so nice to like put on the marker, and then it's easy to see that you are actually doing progress, because otherwise you can't really tell whether you knitted centimeter or 3 or 4 or 5. Okay, so yes, these will be gifts, and it's nice to have like a little gift basket ready for an occasion that pops up. And yeah, what else? I talked about this last time, but it's a 2x2 rib at the top. I think it's for 20 rounds, and then I continue with 3x1 rib, but it's a broken rib, so you knit the rib pattern every other row and then just plain stockinette knitting the other row, and you just continue that. I could mention that I just posted a new video within a tutorial and instruction how I knit my socks on YouTube. So if you're curious, please check it out. It's kind of a basic tutorial. I go into detail on how to cast on, knit ribbing, everything. And I also explain there how I knit my reinforced heel flap, heel turn, and gusset decreases. And also how I knit, because this is my standard heel and this is my standard toe. I think it's called a rounded toe because when you do like this, it appears like a round or half circle. And yeah, and also how I do the Kitchener stitch without the tapestry needle, which I always do as a finishing on the toe. Yeah, so that is the first pair I wanted to show. I also casted on for a new pair of socks just before I went on Easter vacation, and these are so fun to knit. They're super bright, and I have had this yarn for like 5 or 6 years, I think. I bought it the first time I visited Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and this is a yarn from Easy Knits. And I don't know, I remember when I bought it, I instantly thought of Easter. And now when I look at it, it doesn't speak Easter to me at all. But the funny thing is, every time I have went diving into my yarn stash and I spot this specific yarn, I think, oh, I should knit this yarn, or this should be socks for Easter. And of course I never thought of that like in decent time before Easter, so every year it's been the wrong time of the year when I looked at the yarn, and then I thought I need to remember this yarn for next Easter, and I of course never did. But I had a peek into my yarn stash just prior to Easter week, and then I like, wow, it's Easter time, perfect, I need to cast it on. So I did, and this is, as you see, a self-striping yarn. It's really fun, even though it's like neon bright colors. I kind of like it. But these are not for myself either. I have knitted it for an intended recipient. So they will be gifts as well. But they kind of just fly off the needles. They knit by so fast. It's like the old saying that you just have to knit one more stripe, right? So one more stripe, one more stripe, one more stripe, and suddenly the sock is off the needles. I knitted this in one day, so it went by super quickly. Yeah. I don't know if you could see that it's a glittery yarn, but actually it is. Can you see some sparkle? I think you can. The third pair of socks I showed you, I think I was on the first sock in my last episode, and here it is. And this too was so fun to knit. Here I'm using the broken rib pattern and the 2x2 ribbing at the top, like I did on the purplish, no, the like lilac-y blue minty pair. So it's basically the same, but this is a larger size. And this sock was also a product of me looking into the stash. I love that when that happens, when I look into the stash and get so inspired that I just have to cast on something just right away. It's it brings me joy. So I have like a box, I don't know, 50 liter box of hand-dyed fingering weight yarn. And for some that's a lot, for others it's not nearly enough, but I think that I want to like be more intentional about using my luxury yarn, because hand-dyed yarn is expensive, and I love my treasures in that box. But at the same time, I don't think it brings me that much joy just to have it in the box, looking at it. I try to start using what I have. I mean, I have lots of beautiful yarns in there. And I think that I want to bring you with me while I go through all of my yarn stash prior to me moving in the middle of June. I really need to do some sorting there and make decisions whether I should keep and bring everything or if something needs to go prior to the move. So I plan to record and bring you with me while I do that cleanup in the yarn stash. But back to the socks. These two yarns are leftovers from previous projects, and I think that they both have been used in shawl projects. The bright, like foresty mossy green, is a yarn from Tweedy Todd. It's a really, really beautiful color. And then, Tweedy Todd was a Norwegian yarn dyer that's not dying anymore. And the same goes for this yarn, which is from Garn Surr. That's also a Norwegian yarn dyer that's unfortunately not dyeing anymore. So these have been in my stash for a long time. They were both half skeins, so I had about 50 or 60 grams left of the skein. I didn't know how far I would come on this speckled greeny color, so I stopped up here somewhere because I suspected that I might need the rest of this yarn for the second sock. And then I casted on for the second sock, and then I pulled from the inside of the ball or the cake instead of the outside, which I did knitting on this sock. And I kind of knitted the entire sock down to approximately the same point where I stopped knitting on the first sock. And then I knitted simultaneously, or not simultaneously, I knitted one round on one of the socks and then 1 or 2 rounds on the other sock from the inside and the outside of the cake until I ran out of the variegated speckled yarn. So yeah, and last night I continued with the green color down here on the first sock and finished it. And I started this morning on the second sock. Yeah, so I think this will be finished by today. And I was kind of uncertain whether this green color and this more like aqua green, turquoise color, how they would go together. But there are some mossy green speckles inside. Can you see that? Which matches perfectly. So, and I think I really like it. And I like that the shift of color is up here. So we got this long green toe. I think it's cute. And the satisfaction of like knitting up the leftovers of the yarn is huge. I really enjoy it. And this is what I got left of the green, and it will be more than enough to finish off the second sock. And yeah, so this is something that I will definitely be keeping doing. I will dive into my luxury yarns and just pick out balls that have been used for previous projects but can still be enough for making socks. And if necessary, just like pair them with another color and make a fun pair like this. I love it. I also have knitted quite a few pairs of socks during the past year. I will just quickly show you some pairs that are quite recently finished. And these are the first ones. They have been used. These are socks that I knitted for my now 18 years old daughter. She got them for her birthday and she has been using them. And obviously this is a yarn that is slightly felting. Yeah, but they hold up pretty well. But the The yarn I used for this project, I can't remember the name of it, but I will try and find a label and put it on the screen. This was a yarn that I purchased while in London at Beautiful Knitters in February. And I just love this marled long color shifts. These were so fun to knit. It kind of reminds me of the Crazy Sober balls, but in more muted colors. Really like them. I also finished an old whip that's been on the go for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, 4 years maybe. These are called the Jingle Bell socks. It's a pattern from Nordic Stitches, and they're knit out of this Bergeret de France yarn, which I love. And this is a Christmas sock. Unfortunately, I didn't finish it prior to last Christmas, but these will definitely be in my Christmas sock yarn collection. And I will start wearing them closer to next Christmas. I really like them. I think it's a life goal to have 31 pairs of socks, Christmas themed socks, to wear through the entire month of December. That would be like fantastic. I have a way to go though. I also knitted a pair of scrappy socks for my son. He is 10 years now, but he has just exceeded my shoe size. So his feet are slightly larger than mine. But he basically likes pretty much everything that I knit him. And this is made out of many leftovers of sport weight sock yarn. I don't use sport weight yarn very often, so it's kind of nice to just make something out of what you got. And in these socks I just pick the yarn and then I stripe them together so that you get this blended, kind of blended effect. And even some color blocks. I asked him whether he liked this way of using colors, and he just was super happy about it. So I just made sure to use the same color for the cuff and the heel and the toe, just to make them look related. Yeah. So that's that. I used up a lot of sport weight sock yarn scraps, and yeah, super happy about that. I have made progress on my sweater, the eyelet sweater that I showed you last time, which is a beautiful pattern by Rauma yarn. And unfortunately, Rauma doesn't seem to publish their patterns in English, only in Norwegian, which is a shame because I got so many lovely comments about the sweater on my last episode, and I know that a lot of you really wanted to try out the pattern. But yeah, it's only in Norwegian, unfortunately. But this is a little bit of an oversized sweater, and oh, it's so nice. I can't wait to start wearing it. So I ran out of yarn after finishing the body. Oh, I should mention that this is a top-down pullover, and you pick up the stitches around the armholes and knit the arms top down. Yeah, so I needed to order more yarn to be able to finish the sweater. So I did, and it arrived just in time before Easter vacation. And this is the progress that I made on the first arm. And it's not much, unfortunately. It required more brain space than what I had available at the moment. So the project stopped when I had to, I think this is the pattern that's repeated on the arms. It starts up here and then you knit this pattern on the arms as well. And yeah, down here I need to calculate and think and make sure that I have the right stitch count between the eyelets. So yeah, and I really wanted to make sure that it matches the shoulder or the overarm or whatever, so it's synchronized on both sides of the arm. That's what I'm trying to say. And I couldn't really figure that out. I had the pattern on my phone with a tiny screen, and it was very difficult to read it correctly. Yeah, but I am doing some progress, and I think that once that I establish the next sequence of the pattern on the arm, it will be much easier just to zoom by the entire sweater. And the yarn that I'm using is Jamieson & Smith. This is a 2-ply jumper weight, and the color is 1A. And I pair that with Tilia from Pilcolana, and the color 101. It's a very nice combination. Oh, I totally forgot. I also wanted to show you something that I have been working on this for quite some time, but I tend to forget it, and then it's not getting as much attention as it should. But I am knitting myself woolly pants. I mean, look at it. It makes me so happy. I knit 2 yarns together. This is a thin alpaca yarn from Pickles that's been in my stash forever. And I just pair it with whatever sock yarn or fingering weight scrap that I have available. I have many small nuggets of scrap yarn. And yeah, I use the Stephen West pattern for his, I think it's Marled Mania pants. I think that's the pattern that I use, and I just love it, and I can't wait until this is finished. Look at it. It's just so fun. I knit all the stitches, but when you turn it inside out, that's when you get the finished fabric. So you just make sure that all of your threads are on the inside, no, the outside. Yeah, on the right side of the work, so that you can turn it inside out and the pearl fabric will be the one showing when you wear the pants. So it's a very fun knit, but as I said, I keep forgetting about it. I think I might need to give it a new home. This lovely bag from Spool Stories is now too small for the project. I have a lot of minis and yarn inside of it as well. We're back! The battery died and I had to recharge it. I just had some lunch and now I have fetched a cup of coffee in my Mumin cup. She's very cute. And I will take you through the last two projects, which are both blankets. I got the biggest urge to cast on for a blanket. And I wanted it to be a scrap blanket, obviously because I love scrappy project and to like be able to use up what I got in my stash. So I figured if I could combine several different yarns, I could make a rather thick and snugly cozy blanket. So I did, and I will now just briefly show you what I got. This is a crochet blanket where I have combined, I think it's 4 strands of yarns. Yeah, 4 strands. And my plan was to keep 3 of them consistently throughout the entire blanket, and then just change out the strand of fingering weight sock yarn. So we shall see. I haven't touched it for 3 weeks, I think. So I'm kind of evaluating whether I want to continue with the idea. But I really like the fabric. It's soft, it's stretchy, it's warm but not too compact and warm, so I think it might work. I have used 1 strand of this brushed alpaca, I think it is, 1 strand of random white cotton, thin cotton. I think this is 100% wool, probably Finull from Rauma. And then I used a random nugget of fingering weight sock yarn. This could be from an advent calendar some years back. The hook I'm using is I think it's an N hook, which is a 10mm, so it's rather large. but it's important to use a large enough hook, otherwise the fabric will become just super compact, and I don't want that. Okay, then I have some progress to show you on my son's blanket. So, for the long time viewer on this podcast, you would have seen this several times, but it has grown quite substantially. I find myself knitting on this blanket in like bulks. So for a couple of months I almost mainly work on this, and then typically when I ran out of this black yarn, I just tuck it away, and then I need to refill or restock on the black yarn from my local yarn supplier, and then I continue knitting on it because it's so pleasant to work on. I really love working on these blankets. So as you can see, it's quite big now, and I actually think that I might have been marking the spot where I last showed this blanket on the podcast, and I think that's the little pizza marker down there, and they are worked in this direction. Oh, sorry. So I have made this one, and then the entirety of the 3 rows of squares up here. And I even think that I have added 1 or 2 rows on this side. So if you're curious on the concept of this blanket, I have made a separate tutorial showing how you knit the squares, how you join them together, and how you create this border around each square. It's a fantastic project for using up every last little scrap of sock yarn that you have laying around. I have started the process of making the final border, or the first of the 2 final borders. So this border on the bottom of the blanket, it gives itself, it creates itself, and the same goes for this side. But on the top you need to add the border once you have finished knitting to the length that you want. I think I need another row or 2 on the top, but as I said, I have started the process of making the edge on, it will be the left side of the blanket. And once I figure out a good way to do it, I am making another tutorial for you to watch, because I've gotten a lot of feedback on this blanket and the tutorial that I have published, and many of you really was curious on how I would finish the edging all around the blanket. So yeah, but this is the start of it, and then I need to continue all the way up here. I think it will be a lovely blanket for my son to wear once it's finished, and I'm not too far away from finishing actually. Yeah. So that's the update on that. Soon to be finished actually, and then I need to cast on another one. They're so cool. And maybe I could do one with a lighter color between, you know, in a sand color or a white or something like that. It would be beautiful too. The last thing that I wanted to chat with you about today is the announced giveaway. So I am so grateful for being able to do this. It brings me joy, and I'm so amazed about all you lovely co-knitters. This is my 40th episode here on YouTube, and I wanted to celebrate that I have so many wonderful followers. There's with a couple of exceptions, there's always so much love pouring back at me through comments and likes and chats and emails when I post here on YouTube. So you're just a wonderful bunch of beautiful knitters, and I can't really thank you enough for supporting my channel in one way or another. So I wanted to give something back, and as I mentioned, I have been going through some of my yarn stash, and I picked out some lovely skeins that I thought you might like and that really deserved a new home. So this is the giveaway prize. Yeah, it is. I got 3 100 hanks of fingering weight sock yarn. One of them is a single, it's a homespun house. I got 2 Norwegian hand dyers Arctic yarns, and this is Milla's micro fargeri. So if you're interested in being in the drawing for this happy yarny prize, please leave a comment below this video letting me know what would you like to see more of on my channel. Do you prefer like more regular podcast episodes? Would you like to see more tutorials, or maybe daily vlogs or monthly vlogs? Please let me know, and I will pick a random winner when I record my next episode, which will be in 2 weeks' time. So good luck, and thank you so much for supporting Ina Knits. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. So I hope that you have a lovely April and that you get to knit whatever your heart desires, and I will see you back with another episode in 2 weeks. Bye!